I added a new fish into the fish room recently.
That's a
It's a
cute
rare fish, and I haven't seen it
elephant
available
fish.
in quite some time, and in turn, I haven't kept it in years. This fish is commonly referred to as a double trunk elephant nose fish. Unlike a standard elephant nose fish, this is a morimid, and like most morimids, it creates a weak electromagnetic current from a special organ in its tail that it uses while searching for food and to communicate with other morimids. Because of this, they aren't really compatible with each other or other morimids.
Dude, this guy talks like all of my professors talk. The fucking monotone. Yeah, they're pretty interesting. They can actually communicate with each other using electrical pulses. They have a pretty complex language and communication system, which is extremely interesting. But you wouldn't know it by the way that this guy talks.
These are some things that we found while snorkeling some freshwater springs in Australia. So the first thing we saw were these archer fish right here. They get the name archer fish because they
Sick.
can shoot water out of their mouths at insects near the banks.
I love archer fish.
To fall into the water and then the fish eat them. So after I saw these guys, I dove under this log right here and it was absolute turtle city. I was filming at the end of the dry season and I think it may have concentrated a lot of the aquatic life to more specific areas.
Aww.
So we saw plenty of these Australian snapping turtles right here. They were super cute and they seemed to love hanging out under these logs right here. So afterward, I kept on swimming and I got to a different part of the spring that was a little bit clearer and I found this weird underwater tunnel type thing.
Why
So
do
I
people
swam-
keep swimming through underwater tunnels? Real life tunnels, like whatever, you can just walk out. Underwater tunnels are just such a bad idea. You can't breathe underwater. If you get stuck, you're just fucked.
through it and I came out on the other side and I found my friend who found this little baby Mertens water monitor that was super cool. He had an old scarred over tail injury and that's likely
Sick.
from a bird or a crocodile or maybe
That's
even
actually
another
sick as
water
fuck, though.
monitor. But despite the injury, he still swims perfectly fine anyway. These guys are highly aquatic and they spend a lot of their time in the water where they hunt fish, frogs, and invertebrates.
I mean, that was pretty sick. Going snorkeling in Australia or going free diving in Australia sounds sick. Does he have an O2 tank? No, it's called snorkeling. He probably was just snorkeling or just free diving, so he would have been totally fucked if he got caught in a cave or something like that.
This is a video I caught of my betta gladiator pair spawning. What you're seeing right now is the male and female wrapping around each other and then the female releasing eggs. During this
Sick.
process, the male is also fertilizing his eggs. I was so amazed that these guys spawned so quickly after I set up this really cool tank for them, and I'm even more amazed that I was able to see it and catch it on camera. So after they wrap and they release the eggs, the male is going to go ahead and pick them all up in his mouth. And even though he's putting the eggs in his mouth, he's not actually eating them, he's going to be holding them. So this is why we call this type of betta mouth brooders, because instead of the eggs
Sick.
hatching in a bubble nest, they are incubated in the male's mouth.
Well, now you can see what mouth brooder bettas look like. People rarely see bettas other than, what is it, betta splendens, which is the Siamese fighting fish. The fact that there are other fish in the genus is pretty interesting. Not very commonly seen.
A pike. Oh my gosh, you guys. That's a northern.
An underwater camera. Oh,
boy,
underwater
he
camera
is-
on a
he
fishing
is
rod.
eyeing me up too. What is that? Oh my god.
Big ass pike eyeing you up. That's a pretty cool thing to have. I wish I had, like, I could do that. I'd considered at one point, like, if there was a, like, finding a local fisherman and being like, hey, can I set up a camera on your rod somehow? We can actually, like, see the fish down there. But a lot of people have already done that before. It's just a cool idea, cool thing to see.
It's a newborn versus now. I'll go first.
What the fuck is that?
Show your pet as a newborn
Oh,
versus now.
those are axolotl eggs.
I'll go first.
Sick. Very cute. I was like, what the fuck is? I thought it was one creature because it said show it as a baby or as a newborn. So I was thinking it was some kind of creature holding on to the pipe or something. And I'm like, what is this? Look like a giant water bear. Cute little moray eel. I've always heard we know nothing about how eels reproduce. Yeah, not true. Did this person disprove it? Is that what this TikTok is about? Well, shout out to that person because I get questions all the time about whether we actually know how eels reproduce and shit. And there's this weird myth that no one knows how, eels reproduce, even though it's not true. God damn it. What the fuck is this? Fucking DNA seahorse. What are you doing, man? You're not cool just because you have blue and orange stripes down your side. Ridiculous. Oh, is it a pipefish? It was a pipefish, not a seahorse. Still ugly. Oh, Wisconsin. Sick. This looks a lot like the reservoir that I visited when I would swim in it and see stuff like this. There's the reservoir that I would swim in as a kid, which you're technically not allowed to do, so don't tell anybody that I did that. You would see like bass and sunfish like this all the time. You need those plants, they're everywhere. Those are in the reservoir here too. Pretty sick. Yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do. I wanted to go diving in the reservoir at one point, but didn't have the chance. But at some point, it'd probably be something fun. Giant freshwater lobster.
Are home to a legendary creature. In fact, it's the world's biggest freshwater invertebrate. Endemic to the cool rivers of northern Tasmania, I'm referring to the giant freshwater lobster. So these creatures can weigh up to 6 kilograms, and they can live up to 60 years old. And their claws are so big, they can actually wrap around a human calf. So unfortunately, due to habitat destruction...
Around a human calf?
Their population
does not look that big.
To about 20% of what it was. Luckily, there's an ecologist called Tom Walsh who is leading the charge in a world first to actually release captive reared lobsters back into the wild. With any luck, in a generation or two, the population will be...
Jesus! Wait, no shot.
These rivers here are home to a legendary... In fact, it's endemic to the cool rivers and freshwater. Live up to 6...
Giant freshwater lobster? Giant freshwater lobster. The Tasmanian giant freshwater lobster. See, they don't look that big in pictures like this. In pictures like this, they don't look huge. But then, okay, yeah, that's pretty fucking huge. That's pretty ridiculous. That's a pretty ridiculous lobster. Not something I've ever heard of before. Why does Tasmania have all the giant animals? Isn't the giant salamander thing in Tasmania as well? Then there's a couple other Tasmanian things that are huge. Why does everything just get giant in Tasmania?
Are these fish? They wouldn't eat anything.
Are they suckers? Is this freshwater?
What are these fish? They wouldn't eat anything.
They look like suckers. They look like suckers. I don't know. It's hard to tell from that angle. I don't even know if it's freshwater or saltwater.
That ever since the unintentional introduction of the round goby to the Great Lakes system, the resident smallmouth bass greatly enlarged in size. This due to the fact that the bass have been gorging themselves on the invasive bottom dwellers. The connected lakes throughout Indian River, Michigan, are a prime example of that angling upturn, producing the current state record at nearly 10 pounds. Hi, I'm Kim Stricker.
Okay, Kim Stricker. Is this true? I mean, it might be true. I don't know if smallmouth bass are getting bigger in the Great Lakes, but I don't think that that's a reason to introduce, invasive species. I'm sure the round goby is causing much more issues than the bass getting a little bit bigger. I feel like that's not really a great bass boosted. I feel like that's not really, it does read like an infomercial. I feel like that's not really a great reason to introduce invasive species. Like, yeah, they're going to destroy the ecosystem, but your bass are going to get a little bit bigger. Red tail catfish, very cute. Some sort of cichlid, I think. Ooh, shovel nose catfish, very cute. Arapimas. Didn't we watch this video already? I feel like I've watched this video already. More red tail catfish. Hopefully, I'd love to come across a red tail. I'm going to Florida in a week. Maybe I'll come across a wild red tail catfish.
Here's some of the most amazing animals I got to photograph in the freezing cold waters of Tennessee. Starting off with these beautiful Tennessee shiners that during their mating season turn this bright red color.
Sick.
After swimming around this area for a little bit, I noticed this really weird, very ancient salamander called the hellbender.
Damn, hellbender. They're so cute.
Later in the day, I saw another one of these guys. These guys have extremely wrinkly skin, which they actually breathe through.
This guy's doing what I do with when it's a little warmer, I'll go swimming in some streams. If I find like a good sized clear stream, I'll swim with the camera underwater and we can look at stuff for one of the AVNJ's adventures. I've just not found a good like clear right depth stream. All right, last TikTok.
Within seconds, the shark tag recorded a dramatic temperature shift from 46 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. A temperature that could only be achieved
what the fuck is going on?
Inside the belly of another living animal.
Is this guy sourcing this from a TikTok Is this guy's evidence another TikTok that he's watching? Okay, so he told someone that something ate the tagged shark, which is probably not true. And then he's like, oh, defend yourself. Someone's like, obviously that's not true. That's not a real thing. And so he's like, here, look at this TikTok. This proves it. Look at this TikTok that I'm watching.
Question that not only came to my mind, but everyone's mind who was involved was, what did that? It was obviously eaten.
I told you, isn't this from the fake Megalodon documentary? Isn't this from the documentary that they made, which was a mockumentary about the Megalodon being alive? Isn't that literally what this clip is from? And he's using it as evidence? Something that Discovery Channel has denounced as a mockumentary that they lied to everyone as and was supposed to be for fun, to be funny. And this person is using it as gotcha evidence.